We are on. I'm very, very excited to have this presentation today. Actually, I've been thinking about it for a long time and I'm finally doing it. So, welcome everyone. If you're seeing that in recording mode, well, I just want to let you know that I'm super, super excited to talk to you today about a subject that literally changed my life. And the subject that I want to talk to you about is not only about sports mindsets and fitness, it's also about your daily life. So, this literal quote actually changed my approach to everything. The way I am even cleaning the house, the way I am doing my job, the way I am interacting with people, and it really improved my life in all areas. And if you're curious what this is about, well, actually, you see it in the title here. The quote that I really like to think about, and I have learned about it a couple of months ago, even though I can say I would have appreciated to bring it into my consciousness before, is this quote that is better done than perfect. And so even if it's simple, even you might say, duh, obviously you should do something halfway or not as good as possible, but do it nevertheless, just because if you strive for perfection, well, maybe you will never be able to even start, right? So, yeah, it makes complete sense, but sometimes you just need a click, right? Sometimes you need to actually have the good context that shows you that actually it is worth to take this quote into consideration. Because to be honest, I'm using this quote at least 5 times a day. I'm a perfectionist myself and I really want to do something right. When I start doing something, I really want for it to be perfect. So yeah, that's the main definition of perfection itself. But this is so detrimental to a lot of the activities that I'm doing, because sometimes I'm not eager to start something because I know I'll suck at it so bad. So why would I even start that particular action? And so this is mainly the reason why sometimes I stop doing a particular thing just because I see I'm not perfect at it, which makes sense in the first stages of beginning something in the first place, right? So, better done than perfect is a quote that I have in the back corner of my mind. And whenever I see this perfectionist attitude that comes out, which has been here for years and years, and which has governed my life, well, I'm saying to myself, better done than perfect, and then I just do it knowing that it won't be good for the first times, right? So that's the reason why today I am having this discussion with you, because I hope through my experience and teachings that you will also have the occasion to implement it in your life and see how useful it is for you to get started in the first place. And I see that in a lot of my clients who are following some of their fitness journeys themselves. They would prefer to do something good or even perfect rather than doing it bad at the beginning. But here is a sort of a contradictory situation, because if you want to start doing something perfectly, well, you cannot do that just because you don't have the experience, you don't have the background to understand that exercise, for example, applied to fitness, to do it right. You are not prepared, you are not primed for you to do a particular exercise perfectly from the beginning. So rather than just dwelling on perfection and not starting, why not actually just do it and trust the process, and also trust that along the way you'll be better and better at it, and at a certain point maybe you'll reach that perfectionist level that you're striving for. So that's extremely, extremely important. And I wanted to discuss with you about this topic because the last topic that I talked about was how to track your calories successfully in order to be the master of your body weight. And so I got feedback with respect to it, asking, well, yeah, let's say I'm doing it correctly, I'm counting my calories, and the problem is that I'm going on holidays, and for a week I'm not able to track my calories, and I feel like I ate more than I should have, so everything is for nothing now, just because I was consistent for a couple of weeks, and then a holiday just destroyed my entire routine with tracking calories. What should I do? Does it even matter anymore, me keeping track of these calories? And my answer is yes. And here I observe a sort of a perfectionist attitude saying, well, if I'm tracking my calories, it better should be greatly done, right? And while I agree with this, trying to track every calorie in part and paying attention to everything you're eating, I am not very strict about it, in the sense that, well, if you're not able to track your calories correctly for a day or 2 days, a week, or even a month, it's not, your efforts are not for nothing, right? So they don't go to vain just because a couple of days changed the way you are tracking your calories. You should still keep doing it in the future, because consistency matters more than perfection. And so here is where I'm saying it's not a problem if you skip the training session or 2 or 3. What matters is to go back at it and strive for being consistent. Don't strive for perfection. Just try to be consistent, trust the process, and you will see that with time you'll become better and better at tracking your calories, or at, for example, a particular exercise that you wanted to start from the get-go and be perfect at it. It's not possible. Perfection comes with practice, with time, and it's unfortunate that so many of us, including me, want to be perfect from the beginning or not start at all, because this sets you up for failure. One thing as a starter or as a beginner to do any sort of things, not only fitness, to be perfect, well, it sets you for failure. And so this idea of better done than perfect is an idea that I am really like holding on dearly right now, because it helped me to do things that I was not confident about and which I knew they were not perfect, but it helped me do those things nevertheless. So just to give you an example, I am really eager to have a consistency in posting weekly live sessions about fitness mindset, nutrition, tips and tricks from my own experience with my customers. But if I were to be perfect, I wouldn't have had this entire video from the first place. My setup is not perfect, and I see on YouTube how perfect the setups are, right? Like, I'm confident that I could reach that level in the future, but I'm not at that point right now, and I don't have the level of experience to be at that point right now. So how could I reach perfection if I don't even know how to start my camera from the first place, right? I wouldn't want to show in front of you guys without putting any makeup on. So if it takes so much time, why should I even do a video? Because I don't feel ready. I don't know how to do that perfectly for camera. So why should I even start, you know? And when I have this idea, well, this quote, better done than perfect, comes into my mind and lets me know that it's okay. You're at the beginning. You're starting a new experience. You will not be good at it. So don't have pretensions of trying to deliver a perfect thing when you're just learning. Know that these initial steps are going to help you further on the line, and you will be learning so much from this experience, even though it's not perfect, even though you don't wear makeup, maybe just my lipstick and that's all, it's okay. You can show up like that and be good at what you're doing because you enjoy the process. And that's okay. You don't need to be perfect. And none of us should. Actually, social media compels us to want to be more and be perfect, and that's not okay because we put ourselves down because of this idealistic vision of ourselves. We shouldn't say anything if we don't know perfectly the topic we are talking about. I'm not encouraging people to talk about things that they don't know and show confidence. Definitely, I'm not doing that. But I'm encouraging people to try to push their limits, to get out of the comfort zone, and to try to improve. Because better done than perfect promotes improvement, does not promote perfection. And so for me, as I said, every couple of hours, I have a thought that, oh, how great it would be if I were perfect in this situation, so why start it in the first place? It's part of the learning process to not be good at something at the beginning. And that's not a bad thing. That's an experience that is going to enrich your life over the time. Let's say if you were perfect at everything, what challenge was there in life for you to learn about, to overcome? Life is all about improving yourself along your life's journey. Yeah. And so if you are perfect at everything, I think life would be boring, right? So let's take challenges of learning something as being the perfect opportunity for you to see your progress over the time once you put in the effort. So I'm really hoping to motivate you here because for me, this quote worked. So I'm here in front of you today trying to explain that there are a couple of methods for you to be more aware about how to use this quote, better done than perfect, in different contexts. My primary focus will be on sports and fitness mindset, but be aware that these things are able to be applied in whatever life situation you might find. So, just before we are going to talk about these topics, I'm going to have a short introduction explaining the context, but mainly I am going to help you overcome your perfectionistic tendencies by explaining that you need to embrace action over perfection. And here there are some tips and tricks where consistency and setting smart, realistic goals can help. And also, I'm going to encourage you to celebrate progress over effort, progress over perfection, progress and effort, as well as to overcome perfectionistic tendencies. People are, in the most part of the cases, pretty perfectionist. They want something to be done well. And if it's not the case, they have the tendency to not want to stick to a particular activity. And it's unfortunate because this losing hope around a desire or a dream we have happens pretty often. And the problem is that we would see even more joy and talent in the world if people wouldn't be so perfect, because they wouldn't strive for perfection, they would strive for improvement. And improvement would bring them at a certain point in their life where they're perfecting themselves over that particular skill. So that's what I'm usually saying to my clients. Well, it's okay if you don't know how to do a particular exercise right now, or if you're not in the top shape possible. What you need to do is to work towards that goal in a structured and strategical manner, so that you put in the effort and reach like an idealized version of yourself later on. It's not something that we should be focusing on. So just about me a bit, I'm going to explain the fact that Better done than perfect has become actually my favorite quote in the world at this point. Like, it's governing my life and it's giving great results. But another quote that I like to share with my clients and viewers is, your body is your temple, take care of it. Because actually your body is the, let's say, the means through which your soul can manifest in this real world. And so if you don't take care of your body, your soul will suffer, just because it will be hindered to do all those rays of activities possible, right? So your body is your temple, take care of it, is another thing that I strong very dearly to, and I consider that having a strong body also leads you to a strong mind, and vice versa. And I also think that having a healthy body can overall bring you to have a healthy life and focus more on yourself and self-caring more, which I have the impression nowadays that it's not happening for a lot of people. So I'm promoting healthy lifestyles, because those healthy lifestyles are a way to show you that if you adopt them, that you're self-caring, and your body and your mind needs that self-caring. And so I have been practicing sports for a couple of years now. I even had some great results at the national championship in powerlifting, where I got the silver medal at bench press for my category. I have a YouTube channel that I am trying to develop and try to create content on fitness tips, nutrition, and sports mindset in general. And I'm super enthusiastic about all this entire process, because, as I said, it's not perfectly done, but it will help me to reach that goal in the future if that's something that I really want. So I am doing these live streams knowing that they are not perfect, they are not ideal from what I would like, but they will help me perfect myself along the way. So that's good enough for me. Better done than perfect, what I said just before. And so let's understand a bit the idea of better done than perfect mindset. This mindset emphasizes the importance of taking action and completing tasks rather than striving for flawlessness. Okay? So it means that even though you would like to be perfect, you wouldn't want to have any sort of flaws, well, maybe you're not in that point of requesting that to yourself. You are too strict to yourself, and you should be favoring action and completing particular tasks rather than completing them perfectly. And so this mindset normally acknowledges that perfectionism can often lead to procrastination, anxiety, fear of failure, hindering progress and growth, or even stopping the entire great initiative from the first place. So I had occasions when clients of mine said, well, I'm not very happy how these exercises look when I'm doing them, so I'll just stop doing them. And that's so unfortunate, because that was the perfect time when I could say, well, better done than perfect. Let's go through the motions. Let's try to understand the exercises better. And then you will see that they are going to improve your mood, your fitness level, and your opinion about yourself. You're not good at this exercise now. Let's see in a month's time or in a couple of months time what the progress around it is, and you'll be happy about it because you improved. You will see you improved. But if you stop doing those exercises, you won't see any improvement. You won't give yourself the possibility to improve. So better done than perfect. Let's go through the motions, let's complete the tasks, and let's get preoccupied later on about having those tasks delivered perfectly. Okay? And so once again, procrastination, anxiety, fear of failure, and even stopping the progress altogether are things that are determined but are actually given by the fact that maybe you are too perfectionistic about realizing your goals. And if this is something that happens to you whenever you want to do something and you're stopping saying, well, I will stop doing this until I'll get better, or I have more time so that I do it better, well, that means that you're a perfectionist and you should be thinking more often at this quote, better done than perfect. It's unfortunate, but I'm a perfectionist myself, as I said, and this helped me a lot. So the core principle of this quote, better done than perfect, is that it tries to prioritize progress, learning, and iteration over achieving an idealized standard of excellence. So whenever you're saying to yourself, better than perfect, that's the moment when you will need and want to complete a particular task, because you know it won't be perfect, but at least you will complete the biggest part of it, or at least a half of it, and that will feel good at the end. Yeah, I needed to wash the car, but I don't have that anti-insects spray, so I won't wash the car at all. No, wash the car as it is, and then you will have less on your plate when you need to buy that product and use it only for the particular window, right? So just an example that comes to my mind very promptly. But whenever you postpone a task because you feel like you could do it better in the future, that's the moment when you need to say to yourself, better than perfect, let's do it right now, let's deal with the perfection of this task being completed later on. Yeah, it helped me a lot, and I really hope it can help you also, because applying this mindset, especially in fitness and sports, well, it helps you overcome barriers. Yeah, this can be applied to whatever type of activity you're doing, and I am talking about fitness and sports because that's one of the reasons why some of my clients tend to want not to pursue specific exercises, because they are not perfect at them, or because they don't understand them 100%, and they really want to run away from doing them poorly. They don't want to do them at all, instead of just doing them less perfectly, okay? And I'm saying, no, that's not the way to go. If you want to improve yourself at a particular exercise, you really need to put in the work. And don't think about perfection, just do it. Go through the motions, and we'll think later about perfection, right? But in the meanwhile, you'll be thanking yourself for going through the motions. You will be congratulating yourself for just doing those exercises, no matter how you did them. So, in fitness and sports, the pursuit of perfection can prevent individuals in general from starting and continuing their journey. And embracing this mentality of better than perfect, you can actually overcome the paralysis that is being caused by perfectionism and take steps towards achieving your goals without being too strict about the way you are achieving those goals, right? Another reason why you would want to apply this mindset in fitness, for example, or sports in general, is that sports and fitness are full of challenges, setbacks, and moments of imperfections. There are moments where you don't have the physical capabilities of doing something good, and there are moments where you don't have the motivation or the mood to do it. And so adopting this idea of better than perfect takes a lot of the burden of a perfection burden out of your shoulders, because this is the moment where you're going to be friendly to yourself and say, well, it doesn't matter if you don't do it 100%. What it matters is that you show up and you go through the motions, and maybe you will learn something new from this experience, and maybe this will improve your mood at that particular point. So adopting this mindset helps athletes and also all sorts of individuals to develop resilience, by teaching them to prevent through to prevent like boundaries and to persevere through difficulties rather than being deterred by them. So that's why I'm saying fostering resilience is something that you need to have sometimes in sports, and being perfectionist won't help you. So better than perfect. And of course, there are a lot of other reasons why you would want to have this idea of better than that perfect. So for example, if you are interested in seeing progress, well, at least in fitness and sports, be aware that progress is rarely linear and up. Yeah. The setbacks are inevitable. There will be moments where you are tired, where you are hungry, and where your performance won't be so good. But that's not a reason not to do it. That's just a reason to say, well, I'm kind to myself because I need today a bit more time or a bit more energy, and so if I'm not doing that, it's okay. You need to be embracing this mindset because it encourages you to view mistakes and failures as opportunities for learning and for just facilitating continuous improvement. I'm not in my top shape today, but it doesn't mean I cannot show up and go through the motions, which will help you learn something from that experience rather than just quitting that session altogether and not learn anything from that experience. And once again, I'm saying that not only for fitness and nutrition, I'm saying that for any life part of your life. Yeah, that's important. Whenever you feel you wouldn't want to do it because you don't feel like it, because it's not perfect, because it's not going to come out the way you want to, remember about this quote. And this is going to help you enjoy and be more satisfied about the outcome. So constantly, for example, striving for perfection can rob you of the joy and satisfaction inherent in the pursuits that you have, in the tasks that you want to do. So by embracing this mindset that values effort, progress, completion, you can derive greater fulfillment from your activities. Because at the end of the entire process, you'll be like, well, I'm pretty proud of me of doing this particular task or completing it, given the fact that I didn't sleep last night, I didn't eat well, I had like 12 hours of work and things like that. And so, yeah, I am here to try to encourage you to implement this mindset of better than perfect, because it really helps you move through life with a sense of achievement, of completing tasks that are not perfect but that are completed, which for me is better. Like, I'm not sure in your case, but mindset for me is a big part of the work that someone needs to do with themselves to establish good, healthy routines, especially for fitness. So recognizing, for example, perfectionist tendencies and the fact that they can have detrimental effects is the first step towards implementing this particular mindset. Yeah, I have some perfectionistic tendencies. They are hindering my progress. Sometimes I quit before starting, and that's not a good thing because it stops me for progressing in the thing that I want to progress. And so, yeah, it's super important to implement this. And I have two ways of presenting this sort of implementation. One of them is setting realistic expectations, and the other one is actually trying to be constant in what you're doing. When setting, for example, realistic expectations, you should set goals that are challenging but attainable, and recognize in the same time that perfection is neither realistic nor necessary for success. Okay? So that's actually the truth. If you want to be successful, you don't need to be perfect. You need to be constant, and you need to put in the work to do some efforts, even though the average of your delivery is not 100% of perfection, but actually, let's say 30, 40, 50. Better than perfect. Once again, perfection is not necessary for success, and perfection is not realistic. Perfection is not even attainable, right? So by focusing on progress and effort rather than perfection, you can sustain motivation and momentum throughout your journey, whether it's fitness or something else. So once again, focus on progress and putting in the effort constantly, not on perfection. Whenever you want to do something that has perfectionistic tendencies, stop a moment, think about why you want this to be perfect. Think about, is this necessary to be perfect? And if the answer is no, it's not necessary to be perfect, well, why not do it? Because embracing actually imperfection is a catalyst for growth. So people should reframe their perception of mistakes and failures. And that's something that I didn't do well either. Like, I always put myself down for actually making mistakes. I am perfectionistic. I expect too much from me sometimes. I am very mean with myself if the delivery that I have is not good. But that's not okay. I should be embracing perfection and imperfection because that's actually what keeps people wanting to improve themselves. Imperfection is a catalyst for growth. So mistakes and failures, for example, should be viewed as valuable learning opportunities rather than sources of shame. And yeah, I think that's something that people should be doing more often. So once again, if you have some perfectionistic tendencies, just be aware of the fact that it's okay not to be perfect, and it's okay to make mistakes. And what you need to do is to continue pursuing your journey in a way that is useful for you, even with those mistakes made, because those mistakes will show you what are the things that you need to improve on. So embracing imperfection fosters adaptability and willingness to take risks and to want to pursue your desires, and these are essential for long-term success in fitness and sports as well. There was a businessman online that I saw saying that you should be hurrying up to do mistakes, as many as possible, as fast as possible, so that you can grow from them, learn from them, and move on and become more successful. So people who are successful are not perfect. They are just embracing this idea of better than perfect more often than people that are not successful or are not showing any sort of success realization, let's say. Okay, this slide actually that I have here, it's showing what are the ideas behind what I think is important to bring into conscious, which is embracing action over perfection. So there are three main points here that I want to focus on. The first one is the pitfalls of perfectionism. And so perfectionism in fitness and sports can be a double-edged sword. While striving for excellence is commendable, an obsession with perfection can lead to detrimental consequences. Athletes and fitness enthusiasts often find themselves trapped in a cycle of fear and failure, self-doubt, anxiety, when their focus shifts solely to achieving flawless outcomes. So if you want to achieve flawless outcomes, well, I don't think there is a domain where you can start working in, because wherever you will be starting working in whatever domain, well, actually you will make mistakes. You will have failures, and perfectionism is not a good help for you in that situation, when your only focus should be on improving yourself, putting in the effort, being consistent, and just
iterating over and over the results. So this mindset of being perfectionist not only hinders performance, but also diminishes the enjoyment and fulfillment that is derived from those physical activities. So, for example, instead of you being happy that you successfully done your first 5 seconds handstand, for which you worked a couple of weeks or months even, it depends of your fitness level, you are going to put yourself down for completing a task of 5 seconds because it was not of 30 seconds. And instead of cheering the fact that you managed to overcome an important milestone, you are going to say like, oh my goodness, I'm so sad that I didn't keep it for 30 seconds. So you see how actually enthusiasm can be diminished by putting yourself down because you wanted to be perfect in your ideal situation where you would handstand for like 30 seconds instead of 5. And that happened to me as well. And this is not helping me to want to progress because I put myself down. But that's not something that you should be doing. I remember of this famous quote, that's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Well, that's great because this is actually said in a moment where humanity, based on the Apollo 11 mission in 1969, reached the moon and touched the moon for the first time. And that was celebrated. It was one small step for a man, but in the bigger picture, that was actually one giant leap for mankind. What if Neil Armstrong, when he did the first small step, instead of saying that's a hell of a ride for all us human beings and that will be noticed in the history, he said like, well, that's just stupid because we didn't build a house here already, or I just didn't jog around the moon, so what does it serve for me to just do a small step? You know? So celebration is extremely, extremely important, and you should be celebrating each step. And one of them should be just like cheering you up for starting something or doing a task that you didn't have the mood of doing. Because the greater things in the world don't get achieved in the first try, and never the first try is perfect. So why put yourself down for things that no one else was able to achieve but by chance, right? So this is a pitfall of perfectionism, putting yourself down too much, and that's not good. Another idea when you embrace action over perfection is the fact that you are really taking the initiative of getting started despite imperfections. And that, I think, is the biggest blocking point that people have. The essence of this idea of better done than perfect mindset lies in the willingness to take action despite imperfections. And that can be sometimes so challenging for people. Like, you would literally see them paralyzed, immobilized, without having the desire to continue just because they will know it's not perfect what they will be doing. So why just continue doing it or start doing it in the first place? And so that's why it's important for me to work on the mindset attitude of my clients, especially when they're at the beginning stages, because they would like to do it perfectly. But life gets in the way. You don't always have the time. You don't always have the motivation. You don't always have the money. You don't always have the circumstances. And so one of the questions that I'm asking at the beginning of the personalized programs that I'm doing my clients is, how much time can you realistically train? And I really put realistically, the word, I put it in uppercase. Just to emphasize the idea that please think about your available time and how much are you willing to dedicate per week to train. And even though I'm putting that in uppercase, people say like 5 times per week, 1.5 hours per session. So that I see after I create that personalized program for them, that's not something that is realistic for them, and that they didn't even start the first session in the first place because they get taunted about all these 7 hours in total that they need to deliver, that is getting so tiresome right now to start the first exercise in the first session of a 1 hour and a half, because they know they have like 1 hour and a half multiplied by 5. So usually what I tell to my clients realistically really means, if you were at the highest point of your like time management situation, where you would literally don't have too much time and energy to train, how much would you really do? Because rather than pushing yourself to do something that is unattainable and that is perfectionistic or idealistic in your own view, why not start in smaller steps, incremental steps? And what I see from my clients is that usually they are able to follow through if instead of 5 sessions, 1 hour and a half per week, they would put something like 3 sessions or 2 sessions of a half an hour or an hour per week. Just at the beginning, right? Because the more you progress through the exercises, maybe the more you will transform that personalized program in a priority, and maybe you'll have more time later on, or you are going to enjoy it so much that you would like to add more time into your program to spend with enjoying those exercises. So getting started despite imperfections is really important, and I see that that's something that hinders people so much. So rather than waiting for conditions to be ideal or skills to be flawless, individuals should be encouraged in general by anyone, any coach, to embrace imperfection and take the initiative to pursue their fitness and sports goals. Nevertheless, it's okay that ideally you would train 5 days per week. That's in an ideal situation. Why not, instead of wanting to train 5 times per week and you will not do even 2 sessions, why not just like start with 2 sessions per week and be happy that you managed to complete that goal, right? So this proactive approach not only fosters a sense of empowerment for yourself, but also enables you to learn and grow through hands-on experience, because you will get that experience. If you want 5 sessions per week and you won't start the first one because you know that there are so many and you should be going through them, well, that's no experience. You won't have any hands-on experience. So by acknowledging that perfection is unattainable and that progress is made through iterative efforts, you can overcome this paralysis of perfectionism and have confidence and determination to start something and to be happy about your progress without this being perfect. Okay, so overcoming fear of failure through action is also another point that will help you to embrace action over perfection, because the fear of failure is real for so many people. It is a common barrier that impedes many individuals from realizing their full potential, especially in fitness and sports. There are people who are keen on doing a lot of activities, and they have the capacity of doing that. It's just that they are not willing to put in the time, in the sense that to put in the time have done, right? So that's why, for example, rather than starting something and doing it wrong or with possible failures, they really prefer not to do it at all. And once again, that's unfortunate. And this is because of the fear of failure, fear of making mistakes or falling short of expectations. And this often leads to avoidance behavior and stagnation. And this happened to me too. Like I wanted to train myself for a competition in bouldering, and because I knew I needed to do at least 4 sessions per week at a pretty high level, I didn't start it just because I knew I needed to do it perfectly, and I just quit. Like, it's unfortunate, but I put myself down because of it. And I thought I was a failure because I couldn't do that. And it's so unfortunate because I was having a fear of failing, of going through those sessions 4 times per week because I was not conditioned in my tendons, and it's normal at the beginning not to be conditioned. So yeah, fear of failure is pretty big. You can actually reframe your perspective of failure as an integral part of the learning process when you're thinking about the idea of better done than perfect. Because I could have followed through with my bouldering sessions if I would have accepted that I need some time for me to condition my joints, right? So I didn't do that. Now in retrospective, I think I should have done that. That was a failure for me. I wanted to do it perfectly and I didn't do it at all. And that was the fear of failure that brought me to procrastinate and stagnate and just quit altogether. That's not nice. I could have had average results with less work and less pressure, and I would have been more happy or happier with the results than just not doing it at all. So that's why you don't want to perceive yourself as a failure or as failing at something. You want to make sure that you're following through no matter the failures, because failures are here to help you progress. Yeah. So that's why I encourage people to actually embrace action over perfection, because this is a great way for you to get started and not think about the outcome, but just try to enjoy the process. And so one of the things here of setting smart goals is something that I approached in a previous video of mine. Please don't hesitate to take a look at it. Setting realistic goals is very important in adopting the better done than perfect mindset in fitness and sports. Mainly go ahead and take a look at that video for this. But mainly what this was about is setting goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Goals that will help you evaluate your current level, your desires, and what you need to do in order to do that in a way that won't set you up for failure. Because when you have smart goals, these are smart enough so that you don't fail while doing them, but they encourage you to progress, and that's what that video is all about. But here just an example, a bit more about better done than perfect. In setting realistic goals, you need to define attainable objectives, establish incremental progress markers, and adapt goals to individual abilities and circumstances. So whenever you want to start doing something, if you want it to be perfect or you notice that perfectionist tendency, you should be saying to yourself, better than perfect, let's start doing it. And so in order to do it so that you don't feel bad about yourself, you also need to make sure that goal is attainable. If it's attainable without striving for perfection, then that's great. You can do it and set yourself up for success just by completing that task. If you can improve on the particular steps, or you can reiterate so that you get better and better, that's another realistic way of viewing that particular goal. And if you adapt the goals based on your personalized situation or your personal case, so that you don't set yourself up for failure, well, that's great. Setting realistic goals when it comes to better than that perfect, it just means you are smart about these goals and you choose them in a way that will set you up for success and that will not promote your perfectionistic tendencies, because each task is going to be doable without you needing superhuman powers. Another thing that I encourage to do is consistency over perfection. So sticking to a routine, for example, is key to succeeding in fitness and sports in general. And this is important because you don't want to be perfect. You want to be consistent in coming closer and closer to that perfectionistic or idealized version of yourself. And so for this, you need to cultivate a consistent routine, um, have regular efforts towards that direction, and try to manage situations where you are being set back. I won't go into the details because I have an entire video based on that. It's called Motivation versus Consistency, and this actually shows you the fact that motivation is the thing that gets you started, and consistency is the thing that gets you to continue on a particular goal. And so, even though I didn't talk about perfectionistic tendencies in this particular live stream, I encourage you to discover it, to learn the difference about them, and to see that motivation can bring you up to a certain point where it will fade away and you'll need consistency to continue. And consistency is set back by perfectionistic tendencies. So once again, perfectionism is so destructive because it sets you up for failure, and it puts you down when you are not capable of realizing those unrealistic, non-smart goals. Yeah. I have a couple of more slides here that I want to talk about. So one of them is celebrating progress and effort. So recognizing, for example, and celebrating progress and effort is crucial for motivation, for keeping momentum, and building a positive mindset in fitness and sports. You need to encourage yourself to continue, to be consistent, because otherwise no one else will do it in your place. And you should be a friend to yourself by seeing that you're making progress instead of putting yourself down because the progress that you made is not big enough. So you need to acknowledge achievements. Every little step forward deserves a pat on the back. Whether it's hitting a fitness goal or getting better at a particular skill or winning in a game or something else, each success shows progress and hard work. Why would you put yourself down because you won the game but not actually 10-0? Yeah, so you should be happy that you won the game. Don't put yourself down because you won't enjoy that sport anymore. And I think that you're seeing in a lot of movies this idea of children being forced by their parents to do a particular sport, and they are not happy about this. And instead of celebrating their small wins, they are actually being put down because they didn't deliver that perfect outcome out of the game, right? That's in movies usually that I see, and it's unfortunate because this hinders the child's enthusiasm towards the sport, and it makes that child not want to do that sport anymore, because instead of celebrating progress and effort and acknowledging achievements, we strive for perfection. That's why. Another way would be to boost motivation with praise. So celebrating progress and effort is important. Cheering on progress and hard work helps people stay on track, and that has been proven over and over again through different studies. So for example, when folks get recognized for their efforts, they feel valued and want to keep doing it. So you need to recognize yourself, to recognize your progress in order to stay on track and be happy and want to do it more and more. So in addition to that, celebrating achievements gives people a confidence boost, making them believe in themselves even more as they chase success. So a lot of reasons for you to want to actually keep doing what you are doing and celebrating your progress. No one else will do it in your place. And thirdly, honoring hard work for success is also very important. So in the quest to be the best, how much effort you put in matters just as much as the end result. Not only the end result is important, right? So by acknowledging and respecting the hard work people show they're serious about reaching their goals. So celebrating efforts builds a mindset of never giving up, teaching that success isn't just about winning, but also about staying dedicated every step of the way. So, once again, acknowledging effort as essential to success is important, because you cannot have success if you haven't put in the work. And you cannot start to put in the work if you're perfectionistic and you want to do it right from the first time. You cannot have success but by accident or coincidence if you don't put in the work. So please be aware of the fact that in order to have success, you need to put in the work. You cannot just become overnight successful. There are people that show over and over again that they thank their success to the efforts they are putting in over tens of years of work, consistent work. Okay, so yeah, that's this idea about overcoming perfectionistic tendencies, about celebrating progress and effort. And in order to overcome perfectionistic tendencies, well, there are a lot of tips and tricks that you can do. Also, I'm just giving you 3 ideas here that I hold dear to me. Spotting perfectionist habits is one of them. So in order to beat perfectionism, you first need to recognize when it's taking over your thoughts and actions. So that's why it's important, as I said, whenever you see that your perfectionistic self comes into place, you need to just identify it and tell to yourself, better done than perfect. Because perfectionists tend to set impossible standards. They fear messing up and think in extremes. By noticing these habits, you can start challenging them and thinking more flexibly. Yeah? So once again, identify perfectionist tendencies and thought patterns. It's the first step for you to be successful in overcoming this tendency. Beating perfectionism in your workout is also very important. So there are ways to fight perfectionism and be kinder to yourself in your fitness journey. That's the reason why the majority of people don't start their fitness journey in the first place. They want to do it so right and good and look good while doing it that they just don't even want to start. But how would you see progress in your fitness journey if you don't even start doing it? So you can set realistic goals, focus on progress instead of being flawless, and show yourself some kindness and accept that sometimes good enough is okay. Better is better than perfect, right? So just do it no matter the level of your performance, and you'll see that it will become better and better over the time. This is a sort of another mindset situation that people need to work through with themselves to overcome these perfectionistic tendencies. So by actively working against perfectionist tendencies, you can break free and enjoy your fitness pursuits more, because you won't have this stress of putting yourself down or wanting to be perfect and just like not being happy with anything you're doing in life. That's not the way to go for you to see progress, for you to see success in everything you're endeavoring. And finally, finding a healthy balance. So the aim isn't to stop striving for being better or greatness altogether, but to find a middle ground between pushing yourself and accepting imperfection. Understanding that nobody's perfect and embracing your flaws lets you break free from the pressure to be flawless. You don't have to wear this pressure on your shoulders. Developing a mindset of growth, resilience, and self-kindness allows you to chase your goals passionately while keeping things in perspective. So once again, seeking balance is important. I don't want to encourage you to just do it without any smart goals in mind whenever you start your fitness journey. Yes, you need to assess yourself. Yes, you need to see what your goal is, and you need to take specific actions in order to reach those goals. But what I'm saying is that being perfectionistic will only postpone your action towards achieving that goal. You need to be kind to yourself, but not perfectionist, because if you're perfectionist, you're not kind to yourself, so you won't start that journey anymore. And I know I'm repeating myself, but this is so important nowadays, and I cannot emphasize it enough. So here there are my tips and tricks in order to start doing things without having perfectionistic tendencies. This is something that I have completely adopted in my life, not only in my fitness life, but in my life in general. And I can say that it is very, very useful. It helps me get started without actually expecting too much back. I'm just doing it. I should actually congratulate myself for completing the task, not for perfectly completing the task. And that's okay, right? And so we talked a bit about embracing action over perfection, about celebrating progress and effort more than perfectionistic tendencies, and we also talked about how to overcome perfectionistic tendencies from the first place. So yeah, that's it. I'm actually super excited about talking to you about that. Apologies if I repeated myself. I just feel it's such an important topic. I would want to repeat myself more so that you get it, rather than just like not having my thoughts transmitted to you. And in case you are interested to get in contact with me or have a free call and discuss more about your fitness goals, feel free to connect on topmate.io/Andrea with 2 E's fairly fit, and I would be more than happy to actually help you set up your goals and overcome this idea of perfectionists that all of us have in ourselves. And just before I leave, the next live session that I'll be having is next Thursday, so don't hesitate to connect and learn more about how to learn about yourself more, and how to assess your fitness levels once you are set on starting your fitness journey in general. So thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Cheers.